A few years back, we had a patch compliance report that said one site had 105 missing updates. That kicked off the usual panic. Managers asking for timelines, engineers opening consoles, help desk checking machines by hand. The real number was 15. The script had imported 2 counts from a CSV file, both as text. It did not add 10 plus 5. It glued the string 10 to the string 5. One line, one wrong type, half a morning wasted. That is why PowerShell variables matter. Not because the $sign is cute, but because the object inside controls the result. In a graphical tool, you rarely see types. A date looks like a date, a number looks like a number, and a service looks like a row in a grid. At fleet scale, that comfort becomes dangerous. You export from one console, import into another script, join it with Active Directory data, then sort, filter, and email the result. If everything is treated as text, numbers concatenate, dates sort alphabetically, and service objects lose useful properties. Manual checking does not survive hundreds of servers. Naive variables do not survive messy input. The fix is not memorizing trivia. The fix is asking every time, what object am I holding? Here is the core idea. A PowerShell variable holds an object. Sometimes that object is a string. Sometimes it is an integer, a datetime, a process, a service controller, a file, or a custom object you built yourself. The $sign variable is just a name pointing at that object. This is why the pipeline feels different from old batch files. You are not just pushing text from command to command. You are passing structured things with properties and methods. When you assign $svc is getService.Name Spooler, $svc is not the word spooler, it is a service object with status, name, display name, and methods PowerShell can use. Start with assignment. v equals getService.Name Spooler stores the returned service object. Run v getType.fullName, and PowerShell tells you the actual .NET type. For simple input, cast deliberately. Int $n equals 42 turns text into an integer, and datetime $d equals 2026 0805 0930 turns text into a datetime if the format parses on your system. Arrays use @$case. $servers equals @dc1 fs1 app1. Hashtables use $$ with key and value pairs. $info equals $name dc1 role domain controller. Also know your quotes. Double quotes expand variables. Single quotes never expand variables. That one rule prevents a lot of bad log messages. Let's make it real. A help desk lead asks which servers have not rebooted in more than 30 days. You get a CSV with server name and max minutes because different server groups have different thresholds. Import csv-path.-servers.csv gives you strings. In your loop, cast the threshold. Int $max equals srs.maxminutes. Get the operating system data with getSim instance, class name Win32 operating system, ComputerName server name. The last boot up time property comes back as a datetime in modern PowerShell CIM at output. Calculate age with getDate -$os last boot up time. Store each result in a hash table or custom object. Server, boot time, age minutes, threshold, compliant true or false. Now sorting and comparison are real math. The first pitfall is quoting. Server is $name prints the $sign and name literally. That is correct behavior. Use double quotes when you want expansion. The second pitfall is object properties inside strings. $sign object name usually expands the object, then appends .name as text. Use $sign object name. The third pitfall is scalar surprise. A command returning one item may give one object, not an array. So wrap with @n non-number generator. Windows PowerShell 5.1 and PowerShell 7 both have this issue. Hash tables are not for guaranteed order. Use ordered at. Date parsing can be culture sensitive in both versions. Variables and types sit under almost every admin skill we are going to build. When we filter event logs, the event time must be a datetime, not a pretty string. When we audit an access control list or ACL, the identity reference and rights are properties, not columns of text. When we query Active Directory, group membership and organizational unit or OU, paths come back as structured values you must handle carefully. Later, when we automate group policy object or GPO reporting, this same discipline decides whether your output is reliable or decorative. If you understand what lives in your variables, the pipeline stops being magic and starts being plumbing. Here is a safe 10-minute exercise you can run on your workstation. First, set $s is equal to getService.Name bits, then run $s.getType.fullName. Look at $s.getMember if you want the property list. Next, try status is $s status with single quotes, then $s is $s status with double quotes, and see the difference. Now try 15 plus 7, then int 15 plus int 7. Finally, create $bag as host env ComputerName, checked getDate service $s, and inspect bag. No changes, no production risk. 3 beats to keep. First, PowerShell variables hold objects, not just strings, and the object type drives behavior. Second, quoting is not cosmetic. Double quotes expand variables, single quotes do not, and sub-expressions handle properties cleanly. Third, cast messy input on purpose, especially numbers and dates, and use arrays with @m and hashtables with @ when your script needs structure. When something feels strange, do not guess. Run .getType and prove what you are holding. Episode 5 is a small foundation, but it prevents expensive bugs later. New PowerShell episode daily on this channel, taking you from first command to fleet automation.